Alright, so here's the tea. I love Titanic. I love it so much that I have a poster of it right up there. I love all 3 hours of it. I love the love story. I love the framing device with Old Rose. I love My Heart Will Go On. I think it's a high quality, good movie. And I feel like I'm always supposed to follow that up with, oh, well, it's just because it has nostalgic value and I grew up with it and the sinking sequence is impressive. No, I'm not going to apologize or justify myself anymore. I'm putting a stop to that right here and right now. Like, somewhere between 1997 and now, it became really cool to hate on Titanic. Y'all didn't hate it when you made James Cameron a billionaire. Y'all didn't hate it when it won 11 Academy Awards, and only two other movies in history have done that. So, I mean, yeah, like every popular thing has its backlash eventually. But I feel like Titanic's was like so intense and so prevalent that it never really recovered from it, and you're still supposed to like feel embarrassed for liking it. And I just I don't get that. Honestly, I think it's pretentious to say that this movie that millions of people saw over and over again, that it's a terrible movie. You know, like maybe in your opinion you don't like it. That's legitimate. No one's holding a gun to your head. You don't have to like it. But, to say that, well, my taste is better than everyone else and I'm smarter than everyone else because I don't like Titanic. No, none of that. Don't be that guy. Um, and I'm not arguing that it's the perfect movie because it's not. James Cameron's a pretty amateurish screenwriter, to put it politely. And the runtime, 3 hours, is longer than the actual movie itself, or the actual sinking itself. And some of the special effects haven't aged that well, and there are historical inaccuracies, and like it's ethically debatable, like whether it's the right thing to do to take this real tragedy that happened to real people, where thousands of people died, and turn it into a love story. But let's start with the historical inaccuracies thing. Like that drives me crazy when people do that. Like, well, Margaret Brown wasn't known as Molly Brown until after she died. Who cares? Seriously, who cares? If I want to watch a documentary about Titanic, I will watch a documentary about Titanic. There are hundreds of them to choose from. I watch this movie because I want to be entertained. Like, I don't want to learn anything. Like, when I watch Basic Instinct, I don't want to learn about the history of San Francisco. I just want to watch Basic Instinct. It just so happens to take place in San Francisco, and Titanic just so happens to take place on the Titanic. And, and that brings me to my next point, like the love story. People nitpick the fact that Jack and Rose meet April 12th and fall in love April 14th. Would you rather watch a movie about a realistic relationship? Would you rather watch a movie where Jack gets Rose's number and they date and they have sex and they get engaged and they move in together and they get married and they have kids and they get divorced? No, of course you wouldn't want to watch that. Like, you know, people say that romance is dead. Romance never existed. Romance is something that the movies and the books made up because romance sells. Like, people want to believe that there is an enhanced, better version of life out there where you meet the love of your life on April 12th and you get together by April 14th. And that's just, love in real life is getting to know someone for years, getting to know everything you like about them, everything you hate about them, until you can't live without them. And that's still a beautiful thing, but, movies only have 2 or 3 hours to tell their story. They don't have months, they don't have years. And, um, and that's just, that's what I love about this movie. Like, I, I watch it to escape from real life. Like, I don't want to watch something about real life. I have to live real life every day. Real life is waking up to your alarm at 7 o'clock in the morning. Real life is scrubbing the carpet because your cat puked. Real life sucks. Like, if I wanted to live real life, I would turn off my TV and I would go outside. But if I'm watching a movie, it's because I want to escape real life. And movies like Titanic do a good job of that. And, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, there's nothing wrong with making a movie that, doesn't delve into the intricacies of the human condition. And, like, if I want to think, I'll watch a movie that makes me think. Titanic makes you feel. And there are other movies that try to just be mindless entertainment and they don't work and they're painful to watch, but Titanic works. It does what it does well, and that still takes talent, that still takes skill to do. And it's still, worthwhile to respect it. And like the special effects, like there's more to a movie than looking good or looking realistic. There is. Like, of course, some of the special effects, they look like they were made in 1997. Like, this came out before the digital revolution. But, I mean, there are movies today, like After Earth, that came out after Avatar, and the CGI in it still looks really fake and terrible, so After Earth has no excuse. And Titanic looks better than movies like that, So, like, let's not nitpick it, like, um, let's say I made a movie, let's say I, not made a movie, let's say I wrote a play that's 2 hours long and it's just good-looking actors in nice, expensive clothes who sit there and do nothing for 2 hours. Would you think that was a good play? No, you wouldn't. You would think it was a terrible play. Even though it looked good, you wouldn't like it. But if it was like a low budget play with really terrible costume design and really terrible set design, but it was well acted and, the story was good, you would have enjoyed yourself watching that play, even though it didn't look good. Titanic, same thing. And, what I love about it is just, it's so old fashioned, it's very old Hollywood melodrama, and old Hollywood is better Hollywood. Like old Hollywood, they weren't interested in making sequels or making toys or making TV spin-offs. They were, you know, they were still worshiping the almighty dollar. Like let's not be naive. But they made money by telling a good story and by telling spectacular stories that people paid to see, and they forgot about their lives for a little bit and they enjoyed themselves. That's why Hollywood did so well during the Great Depression, because people were poor and out of work, but they went to the movies and, it was something that they had to look forward to, and they didn't have to, you know, be reminded of anything about their lives. Like, there was a prettier version of life waiting for them for at least 2 hours. So, Titanic's one of my favorite movies. If it's one of your favorites, you're not alone. I think if more people were honest with themselves, it's one of their favorites too. Maybe you don't cry when Jack dies, but I guarantee you cry during the Nearer My God to Thee montage. So, you know, let's kill the backlash already. Like, it became cool to hate on Titanic. Let's make it cool to love Titanic again.